Hello everyone, Xeno What If here. Bring in the first movie of What If the Eds get Cosmo and Wanda. Link down description of the fanfiction of this What If. Listen here YouTube. I do not own anything and this is not a scam. Chapter number 1, Meet your new fairy parents. In the cul-de-sac. It was another day like any other, the Eds now nothing with their scam broken. And having a bit of bad luck on their side. God damn it, for once why can't something go right for once in my life, Eddy said. A bit frustrated trying to actually think of anything for scams to go perfectly right, however nothing came into mind. Why not actually have butter toast for once in your life, Ed said. How the hell is that going to work for us? Eddy said in anger. Well, probably we can actually try a different kind of scam, Double D said, the smart one of the group. And how exactly will that work? Which right multiple times already, Eddy said, yelling in frustration. No matter how many times we try to move the perfect scam, it always keeps backfiring at us, and yet, he said, looking down with a defeated face. While walking off, Double D and Ed kind of felt a bit worried for Eddy, saying that they have never seen him in this kind of state before. They follow them into his actual house when a moment they did, and he was on his bed laying at it, felt nothing but depressed mood on his face. However, when the moment was trying to look at the 8-ball, can I at least have something good for once, Eddy said while shaking the 8-ball, however only to say tough luck, the 8-ball said, and he got even more furious. Can I at least have one good luck for once? They've had me a bad luck. Life can always be a downer, the 8-ball said. Eddy got so furious he threw the 8-ball directly at the wall, however little did he knew that the 8-ball soon opened up, revealing smoke coming out, and when the moment the smoke disappeared, standing in front of them was actually two dwarf small fairies, like one with green hair and the other one had pink hair. Both of them had clothes, wands and fairy-like wings, and including crowns on their head. Hello there, I'm Cosmo. Cosmo said, introducing himself. And I'm Wanda, and we are your new fairy odd parents, Cosmo and Wanda said, introducing ourselves. Double D was completely shocked in disbelief beyond anything, while Ed was amazed by this as well. Even Eddy was amazed, but also had a smug grin on his face, thinking that he can actually make a lot of scams with these fairies on his side. So, I'm guessing you three must be our fairy godparents, am I correct? Wanda said. Of course, me and my friends are actually your godparents. With Sing It, there's 3 of us and 2 you. I guess you can actually stay with me for a time being, EDDT said, having a smug look on his face. Okay, if that's out, and I guess we can actually try our best to hang out, but seeing that I actually have to admit I think I like the yellow one, Cosmo said. Yay, Ed finally makes a new friend, Ed said in amazement and also happiness. Maybe things can finally look up for us for once in our lives, and he said, having a smug look on his face, with these fairies we can actually make a perfectly good scam and get some shot breakers, and he said with excitement. But this is impossible, there's no way that this can't define science and logic, Double D said in disbelief. I'll put a lid in its socket. With these fairies we could actually make a lot of money and get ourselves job breakers, even more, we can finally get some respect for once, Eddy said to Double D. Yay, job breakers, Ed said. Yeah, I have no idea what job breakers are, Cosmo said in confusion. Wow, I never expected the green one to be just like Ed, and he said in disgust. But first of all, we'll come with a plan tomorrow after all. Well, I wonder, I wish for money, and Eddy said, commanding Cosmo and Wanda. Oh, I'm sorry dear, we can't actually grant you money, that's against the rules, Wanda said. Eddy was shocked and beyond disbelief. What the hell do you mean in the rules? Eddy yelled at Wanda in fury. Well, you see kiddo, fairies have to have the rule book, seeing that we cannot always grant you love or money, we can only grant you the basic kind of wishes, Wanda explained. Yeah, so technically we don't want to get in trouble on our first day with you guys, Cosmo said. Well, now it certainly seems for fairies you actually learn by the rules, Double D said. Okay fine, maybe money and love will not actually go, not the window is in my option, but tomorrow I guess we can actually make a perfectly ultimate great scam, maybe even making Ed World Theme Park that can actually might go good. After all, what can be the world, what exactly can go wrong tomorrow? However, at a rented hotel a bus came in, and out came a man who was obsessed with fairies and catching them, known as Crocker. Fairy godparents, I know you're here, and when I do I will prove the world that I was right, that fairies do exist. And this is the first crossover of Ed and Eddy and fairy oddparents. Yes, the Eds will be the ones as Cosmo and Wanda as their fairy godparents that will grant them any wish. Anyway, I hope you guys like chapter 1 of this new crossover story. Chapter 2, Crocker the new teacher. Sometime later, the Eds were getting ready to go to school. Seeing that it was on Monday. However, when I got to school, I'll let you say Kevin, and being the bully and arrogant prick he is, trying to act all cool and obnoxious, the Eds. But let's just say they ignored him and decided to go to Kevin's shock. What the? Why did they just ignore me? Kevin said in complete shock. Who knows? Who cares? After all, it's just the Eds. They'll just try coming with some lame-ass scam of theirs. Naz said. Rolf looked greased at the son of a gun. Ed boys are just nincompoops. Rolf said. Plank says that the Eds have been acting strangely. Johnny 2x4 said to them. What the heck does that even mean? Kevin said in confusion. I don't know. Me and Plank were just taking a midnight walk and then we heard a conversation with Eddy alongside Ed and Double D with some people at his house. Johnny 2x4 said. Who in the world would actually try to come to those dorks' house? Especially Eddy's house, Kevin said in disgust. Excuse me, but if you do not go to your class, did you get an F? A voice said behind them. Naz, Kevin, Rolf and Johnny 2x4 looked to see Crocker giving a menacing grin. And who the heck might you be? Kevin said. I'm Crocker. And let's just say I'm your new teacher of this school. Crocker said, introducing himself. Since when did we get ourselves a new teacher? Naz said in confusion. Beats me. But I like this guy. Johnny 2x4 said. If you have seen anything unusual or something that might revolve very godparents. Crocker yelled like lunatic, making Kevin, Rolf, Naz and Johnny a bit freaked out by his insane persona. Whatever you say, you weirdo. Kevin said, walking away. Well, he's kind of an odd teacher. Naz said. Rolf doesn't understand why he says very parents. Me neither. Johnny agreed, walking off. Crocker had a sinister grin on his face, always obsessed with fairy godparents. I know I could smell you. You think any of you fairy godparents can't stand a chance against me? Crocker laughed in a maniacal laughter. At math class, Eddy did have Cosmo and Wanda as Eddy eraser and pencil. Double D was working on doing math equations while Ed had no idea what he was doing. But then again, Eddy had a smug look on his face. Seeing that he might actually ace this. He looked around. He could see many of the Peach Creek students, especially the iconic ones. Mind their own business. He made sure that no one's listening to him. He brought his pink pencil, also known as Wanda, the fairy godparent in disguise, and whispering in a low tone for no one else to hear him. Hey Wanda, I wish that me, Double D and Ed got the correct answers on our math test. Eddy said, whispering to Wanda in her pencil disguised form. Which Wanda did raise her Wanda up in the air and was able to poof, making Double D and Ed get their assignments done quickly. What in the? Double D said while looking at Eddy. Eddy, did you have something to do with this with our fairies? Double D said, whispering to Eddy that was next to him in his desk. Trust me, these fairies can grant any wish, so technically, considering this can actually be something great for us for once. Eddy said, whispering back to Double D. Yay, I can finally get an A. Ed said, yelling in happiness, making everyone look at Ed. Eddy shot a glare at the imbecile, looking directly at him, almost trying to not to say anything else. And after that was done, Ed, Double D and Eddy gave in their assignments. The teacher looked even amazed, seeing that all the answers were correct. Even Ed's was, seeing that he was the dumbest of them all, was able to make great work out of it. The rest of the school day at Peach Creek High went the same. However, they noticed a new teacher nearby, one that was scrawny and had a hunchback and had glasses, looking around the place, as if he was looking for a certain type of fairies. Who the heck is this guy? Eddy said. For what I'm getting at, I mean, I overheard Naz and Kevin, including Rolf and Johnny, said that he is the new teacher, or perhaps a new transfer teacher from somewhere else. Double D said to Eddy. Since when did we ever get a new transfer teacher? Eddy said in confusion. Oh no, I think I know who that is, Cosmo said, looking directly at the teacher. In his disguise as an eraser, Double D raising eyebrows at Cosmo's sudden change of behavior. Yes, that is Crocker, the person who likes to hunt us down. Wanda said, even more worried. Man, this guy really is a complete loony. Eddy said. While Crocker looked around, not even hearing Eddy's comment. Fairies, fairies, I know that they're here somewhere, and I will prove the world that fairy godparents do exist. Crocker said, looking around, everywhere, while wandering off. Well, that teacher was kind of fun and strange at the same time, Ed said bluntly. Yeah, if anything, the guy is a complete nut job that serves to be an asylum, Eddy said. But now then, after all, we should wish for a perfectly good scam, something that's a bit perfect. Eddy said. What exactly do you have in mind? Cosmo said in her pencil disguise form. Eddy thought for a moment what the scam should be. He thought for the first one could actually be a lemonade. No, not just any ordinary lemonade. You know, after one school's over, I'll give people a unique kind of lemonade, pink lemonade, after one school's over. Eddy said, pink lemonade. By George, that can actually be a pretty good scam, Double D said. I never had pink lemonade before, Ed said. That's because, after all, what can be a perfectly good combination for lemonade? Cherry. Double D said. Raspberry. Cosmo said. Yeah, raspberry does sound pretty good. Eddy said. Pink lemonade, raspberry flavor. Eddy said. Ooh, I think I like that. Combination with lemon and raspberry, Wanda said. After one school is over, the ads were outside. Cosmo and Wanda in their fairy godparents' normal form. We're ready for Eddy's wish. Okay, guys, I wish for a pink lemonade standard. I wish that the pink lemonade was a mixture of lemon and raspberry, including some sugar as well. Not too much sweet, but a little bit of bittersweetness in it. Eddy said, wishing for his pink lemonade scam to come true, which Wanda and Cosmo did raise their wands up in the air. And when they did, the stand, alongside actual pink lemonade, would cups in it and a jar filled with it, saying Eddy's pink lemonade for 25 cents. It's perfect, Eddy said. Many of the cul-de-sac kids saw the pink lemonade scam stand. Pink lemonade, I never had lemonade that's pink before. Johnny 2x4 said, in amazement. Neither does Rolf. Rolf never had pink lemonade on the ordinary lemonade. Rolf said. Whatever, it's just another scam created by those dorks. Kevin said, in annoyance. Oh really shovel chin, then perhaps you should try this delicious beverage of ours. Eddy said, giving a cup of pink lemonade with ice cubes on it to Kevin. I know what you're actually trying to do, trying to scam us. Kevin said. Scam me. Oh please, I guess you won't like this drink after all. It's too bad you'll be dehydrated when you get back home. Eddy said innocently. Kevin got a bit annoyed but decided to take a swift drink of the lemonade. Only for not to taste disgusting or anything but tasted like a mixture of lemon and raspberry. A bit of a mixture of bittersweets but it tasted fine. It tasted alright, dork. Kevin said, giving 1 cent of 25 cents while many others decided to take a drink and it tasted not bad. Oh boy, this is the first time I ever tried pink lemonade before and it tasted so good. Raspberry and lemons are perfect good combination. Johnny 2x4 said in amazement. However, watching from the school door entrance window, Crocker observed the lemonade stand or pink lemonade stand in a bit of a suspicious look that how in a world could a pink lemonade stand appear now of nowhere. This seems awfully suspicious. This could be the work of fairy godparents. Crocker yelled. But who exactly has those fairies? Crocker said thinking to himself. After everyone was done drinking the pink lemonade, Eddy actually had a jar filled with 25 cents. Yes, we finally got ourselves 25 cents and a successful scam. Eddy said jumping up in amazement. Well, it certainly seems that we actually finally made a perfect simple scam for once in our life without it actually backfiring. Quit being a sockhead and try not to jinx it. After all, we can finally actually get ourselves some job breakers. Eddy said. Yay, jawbreakers make Ed happy. Ed said jumping up and down with excitement. Alright boys, let's hit the candy store and get ourselves some sweet jawbreakers. The Ed said what Eddy having Cosmo and Wanda in his bag as school utensils, school supplies as their disguise. Chapter 3. There's no such thing as bad luck. On the weekends at Peach Creek, the Eds were actually having some time off. And luckily had a few child breakers but a successful scam thanks to Cosmo and Wanda's magical powers of actually creating a great successful scam. All of them were actually at Eddy's house. I'm telling you guys, having very godparents is the best thing to ever happen to us. Eddy said true. But we should actually try not to disrespect or misuse their powers. After all, it might actually come with a heavy price to pay for. Double D said. Oh, quit being such a killjoy from once in your life. Sock it. Eddy yelled at Double D. I know we should wish for some monsters to attack the cul-de-sac. Ed said. Heck no, we don't want more drama or destruction. Eddy said to Ed. But Ed want monster. Ed said in sadness. Of course not. The only thing you're gonna make that is gonna make the situation even worse than before. Eddy said in anger to Ed. I agree kiddo, even no Ed monster plan seems alright, but though I have to disagree with the whole monster rampage. Wanda said. I was going to agree to be the monster. Cosmo said. Sweetie, I don't think terrorizing kids as a monster will make things any better. Wanda said to Cosmo, which Cosmo looked down in shame. Oh, I know what my next scam should be. It should be something cool and amazing. Something with pizzazz in it. Something like Eddy started thinking his mind. Something like what Eddy? And said curiously. Shut up, I'm trying to think, so don't interrupt my thinking, Eddy said. How about we wish for a great water park? Put a lot of water park. A big pool and amazing water slides with loopy-loops. Eddy said. Oh, now that sounds very cool. The ultimate water park, then no one else can resist. Cosmo said excitement. Yes, Eddy, ultimate ultra super mega water park. Huh, that does sound awfully unusual, but it does make it kind of seems a bit dangerous. Wanda said. How about Eddy's snowy Winterland? Huh. A winter theme park in the middle of autumn sounds a bit unusual, but I guess we can actually work with that. However, somewhere else in another part of an abandoned construction site in the cul-de-sac. Two identical clone versions of Cosmo and Wanda, being anti-Cosmo and anti-Wanda, the anti-fairies of bad luck and are good at breaking the rule. Dear, do you know I smell? Anti-Wanda said is the opposite and also the dumbest version of Wanda. Oh dear, I do know what I could smell. I smell the smell of bad luck, and it certainly seems that we will be the ones to give them bad luck. Anti-Cosmo said, giving a devious grin, also being the smart version of Cosmo, which the two anti-fairies poofed to who knows where. Meanwhile, with the Eds were able to create the Winter One and Eddy's Winter Wonderland, as Cosmo and Wanda were actually snowmobiles. Eddy's Winter Wonderland was actually created in some parts of Woodward or no animals, and luckily was able to create some snow blaster cannons that could be used for snowball fighting, including hot chocolate stand as well for 50 cents. Everything was for 50 cents. Look at it, it's so perfect. Johnny was having fun with playing throwing snowballs, while however all that went down the drain when bad luck started happening. For example, avalanche, including playing hot chocolate spilled on Rolf's face. What, this wasn't even part of the flat, and he said in complete shock and disbelief. I don't know, probably could be sabotage or something. Could it be Kevin? And he said, looking around for Kevin. Want refund? Johnny 2x4 said. Yeah, weasel Ed boy. Rolf said. Dude, seriously, some of us who got hurt had look. Eddy looked down at the point to sign out to get beaten up inside, give back the money, which they started leaving, which Eddy could not believe it. All the scans went perfectly until one went down the drain so quickly. Damn, it's so close, how come I can't win? Oh my, it seems that you are in bad luck, young champ, which Eddy had in double the including. Cosmo and Wanda turned into their fairy forms and were shocked to see their anti-fairy doppelgangers. Anti-fairies, most said in venom. Anti what now? Eddy said in confusion. Anti-fairies are actually like our opposite versions of ourselves. That are known to break the rules, that can grant any kind of wishes, especially money, even bad luck. Wanda explained to the Eds, which Eddy was surprised, but realizing that he decided to have Cosmo and Wanda as his fairy godparents to grant any wish, realizing that even if he had anti-fairies they would be nothing more for troublemakers. That's right, sweetheart, after all it certainly seems that is quite a quandary, which he would. Anti-Cosmo said. God, so much big fancy words. Cosmo said, not liking his utter anti-fairy counterpart. Well, I never expected Anti-Cosmo to actually be very smart. Oh, tell me, dear champ, you may be smart, but I could see people treat you as an outcast. Anti-Cosmo said, having a sympathized look at Double D. I was also treated as an outcast. How it feels to be looked out upon and be treated differently. Anti-Cosmo said, shedding a tear, which is also a false tear. So well, you ruined my perfectly good scam, and for that you will pay. Hey Cosmo. Wanda. Attack your evil doppelgangers. Eddy said, commanding Cosmo and Wanda to attack the anti-fairy version of themselves. Which it became a full-on brawl, seeing that Cosmo and Wanda and against their anti-fairy counterparts, realizing that their magical strength were equally matched. We must go on a plan to help our fairy friends. Ed said to Double D and Eddy. How can we? Eddy said. Well, the only thing that they're good at is actually being attracted to bad luck self. Eddy had multiple ideas. He got out many windows and started breaking in with hammer. Which made Cosmo and Wanda stop being distracted by the bad luck of smashing mirrors, only for them to be managed by Jorgen von Strangle. I see you puny anti-fairy have escaped, don't think you have won. Jorgen von Strangle said. Why are we? That military fairy looking guy is so cool and strong. Eddy said, amazed. That's Jorgen von Strangle, the most serious drill instructor in all the fairy world. Sheesh, talk about your tip of the mill stereotype. Eddy said. Silence, puny human, or you will feel the wrath of my muscles. Jordan said, showing his muscles, which Eddy didn't care as much. Which Jorgen took anti-Cosmos and Wanda away. Well, that just happened. Eddy said. No, then let's get back on making a new scam. Right behind you, Eddy. Cosmo and Ed said. Well, some things never do change, Wanda said. And I guess that's the best thing, I think. Double D said as they were planning to make it a new scam. While Crocker was watching, having a smug grin, knowing at the three Eds having fairy godparents. I knew it that those three weasels had fairy godparents. Crocker said in a crazy psychotic way. All I need to do is to figure out a plan to catch them. Crocker said. Walking deeper into the woods, coming with a plan to capture Cosmo and Wanda. Chapter 4, New Kids. At the cul-de-sac, the ads were successful at able to making the scams thanks to their fairy godparents, Wanda and Cosmo. However, two cars came into the neighborhood, getting the ads' attention. Hey, guys, who exactly are those people? Ed said. Must be some new kind of neighbors, or perhaps people that might already moved in. Double D said. Who cares, as much as I would like to scam them so badly. However, the first car was a rich limousine, which Eddy noticed, which gave him a bit of more cash shines on his eyes. Double D and Ed. Check that out. That guy must be a fucking billionaire. Oh my. I never expected someone rich to actually move into our neighborhood, Double D said. That is so cool. I wonder if he actually had some kind of cool, fancy car, Ed said. No kidding, stupid. He has a freaking limo scene, which is outside. Side. Of course, he's rich. Eddy said with excitement. The person that came out of the car was Dev de Middle, a kid who had brown hair, glasses, and cool, rich kid's cloud. Among side, his father named Del Dimmadome. Well, certainly seems this is the perfect place to build our awesome new house. Isn't that right, son? Dale Dimmadome said to his son. Yeah, sure thing, whatever, he said. Oh my, it certainly seems that the poor lad has a bit of some father issues. Double D said worriedly. So what? I mean, some of us do have some parent issues, Eddy said. Yeah. But he actually had it the most. Worse, seeing that his family is kind of rich. Then the second car came with a group of African American people, including a young girl with puffy hair named Hazel Wills, which she was kind of excited to meet some new friends in Peach Creek. Peach Creek, which at Double D, kind of felt a bit nervous because of, well, girl phobia. Well, would you look at that? We got ourselves a new girl, besides Naz or Sarah. Eddy said with a smug look. I wonder if I will actually meet some new people in the cul-de-sac, Hazel said, as her parents were packing up everything, making sure that every single luggage and stuff they have was in proper care. As the Eds walked up to Hazel. When Hazel looked, turned around, and she was surprised to see the three Eds. Oh, hi there. I'm guessing you must be the neighbors of this fine place, Hazel said a bit nervously. Of course, you could say that where it ends, and I'm the leader of this of my own crew. Eddy said with pride. Well, it's a pleasure to meet you, Eddy and Hazel said without realizing the other two. All right, these are my other friends. Friends, Ed and Double D, Eddy said, introducing his friends. Hello, Ed said with his goofy signature wave. Well, hi there, Hazel. It's a pleasure to meet you. Double D said, sweating a bit, nervously, but also trying to make sure that he has to be 100% confident not to embarrass himself in front of Hazel. Well then, it certainly seems you guys are kind of a bit of a strange lot of people. Hazel said. Well, you can say that. Well, you can say we're already odd. Say, more like the odd bunch of people, but anyway, you could say, well, what we do around here is, well, you know, just do our fun stuff, like hanging out in the beach or hanging out in the junkyard. Eddy said. Hanging out in the junkyard. That certainly seems a bit dangerous, but also kind of cool as well. Hazel said, while Dev Dimmadome watched from afar interest. A bit intrigued, but also trying to act cool, but in the inside, he wants to have friends. Look at those guys. Those guys. Look at those guys having fun with the new girl, and instead of not actually having fun with the rich, cool kid, Dev said in disappointment. A Dev decided to walk up to him, but decided not to sign to, well, help his father out. Well, also making some new rebrandish ways for well. While he was also wanted to have a bit of a chat with the three Eds. Eds. This does take place during the events of the fairy OddParents' New Wish. So technically, yes, it's gonna be taking on in my own version of the way. After some time later, it was school. And luckily for the Eds, they were able to finish their homework. Thanks to Cosmo, but, well, let's just say he's the dumb Korean one. So Wanda was able to, well, help them with their homework. Thanks to being the smart one of the group. While also, Hazel and Dev were also being introduced to everyone in the classroom, which everyone was completely surprised by this, having two new students. Kevin, thinking that he was the cool kid and all, thinking that Dev is nothing more but just some ordinary kid, while Dev said that he's more the richest person in all of the world, and telling Kevin that he is nothing more but just a complete delinquent. Nothing more but just an ordinary person, which made everyone completely shocked while Eddy couldn't help but laugh at Dev thinking that he actually might found someone quite amusing to bring Kevin onto his knees. Hazel introduced herself and was surprised seeing that there was finally another girl in the cul-de-sac. But, well, let's just say, she was kind of an interesting and odd kind of girl, which she and Dev sit next to Eddy, which he couldn't help but find it amusing. Let's see. As class was going on, it was lunchtime. Dev decided to sit next to Eddy. So I heard that you guys are kind of well, a bunch of troublemakers, if that is so. Dev said, you can say that. I mean, to be honest, we always do fail in our scams, but not this time, boy. And he said with confidence, you know, you can actually do way more better than making scams. After all, why not try doing things big? Like as in big stuff after all. Scams are for small things, but for me, I'm a millionaire. I can get you what you call jawbreakers, Dev said, which catches Eddy's attention now. So you really are a millionaire. Eddy said with excitement, how much would you say for a truckload of jawbreakers? Then you got yourself a deal. And he said with excitement, high-fiving Dev the model couldn't help but smile, while Hazel was rather intrigued by this candy known as a jawbreaker. After school was done, Dev, using his family's inheritances, was able to buy a truckload of jawbreakers, to the Ed's amazement. Okay then, I guess we can call you our friends. So I'm guessing it's a deal then. If you help me with my stuff, I'll help you with your stuff. Dev said, with a cheeky look on his face, fine. Find it. That's pretty good. Cosmo and Wanda were watching this from a far distance, but couldn't help but felt happy. Hey, Cosmo. Do you think that the boys would actually try making a new friend of this rich kid? Wanda said, I don't know. I prefer that girl with the weird puffy hairstyle. Cosmos said, which Wanda rolled her eyes, seeing that they were actually fairies in their animal forms, such as squirrels. And this at the end of this movie. What if? Hope you guys like it. Do not forget to leave a comment down below and subscribe to the channel.